from his studios in New York. It's time for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Here's your host, Dan Tortora.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Always an honor and a privilege to be with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're also watching as you're listening live on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. You are also watching us here on Facebook Live on facebook.com/live-now-dt. So whether you're watching or you're listening, we thank you so much for being a part of your show. If you're hiding in your cubicle, I can't say cubicle this morning. If you're hiding in your cubicle from your boss, thank you for listening to the show. If you're at home or you're taking care of the kids or you're off at the fair, whatever you're doing, we thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast. And you can obviously listen to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora all around the world because we are streaming live on our internet streaming radio and our internet streaming television. So you can pick us up anywhere in the world. I want to thank our viewers and our listeners from England, from the United Kingdom in general, as well as China, Russia, Italy, Spain, the list goes, Mexico, Canada, and the list goes on and on from there. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the show. So we truly appreciate it. With that being said, it's time to hop into this second hour conversation, and that is with Rob Long. As you can see on our live video feed in the right-hand panel here that we have that goes from the top to the bottom, tells you what we have coming on the show. So our list of topics goes from the top all the way down. You just heard from Zach Mahoney. Rob Long is up next here on the broadcast. And Rob is not only a former punter for the Syracuse team, but Rob also has gotten involved in so many other pieces of our community and helping our community and building it up, and for the lift and everything they do there, and just to bring people together to not only, go through his own battle and his own toughness of everything that happens with brain cancer and cancer in general and just all of the adversity that you face, but also to help other people. And before I bring Rob in here for a second, I do hope that he doesn't mind the long intro. It takes a strong person to face something like cancer, to face any adversity head on and to fight against it and to give it your all. It takes an even better person to go to someone else who has cancer or an ailment or is being bullied in school or just needs a helping hand or, just needs a pick-me-up. It takes an even stronger person and an even better person to say, I fought my battles, I won those, now I'm going to help you fight yours. So Rob is not only someone who's an inspiration for fighting his own battles, but he's an inspiration for helping other people fight theirs. And with that being said, I bring him into the show. Rob Long is here with us live today. Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the kind words, Dan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rob, you're always so humble. I can sit here and have a 10-minute intro for you, and it's just, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I mean, what keeps you humble through all this? Because I can only imagine how many people come up to you and shake your hand wherever you're at and thank you for your fight and thank you for what you've done and ask you how you're doing. You help out so many people, yet you stay so humble. Why is that?
I'm not sure. I think it's probably part of my personality. It's part of the way I was raised. But I think I also understand, how life works, and I think it's good to give back. And I think paying it forward at all works out in the end. So I think this is something that talked about a lot of what I've been through, and it's really shaped a lot of my my personality and my outlook on life. And so I just been given a second opportunity to make a difference and to hopefully have a better impact on this world. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that opportunity to make the most I can out of it. And so I think it's a little bit of everything, but I just everything I've been through, it's it is a humbling thing to go through. So I'm very grateful for everything that I have, and that I'm able to be here and to do something I love every day, and have the opportunity to talk with yourself and just live life.
For you to go through the fight that you went through, and I know so many people know about it, but there may be some out there today that don't know, or maybe they don't know the full story. Just what you can tell us about kind of your road and going back to that, the day that you were diagnosed to where you are today, because you have had such a tremendous story that is something truly remarkable and always worth kind of mentioning again. Just what you could say about your story.
Yeah, so I think for those that are unfamiliar, it was something that came out of nowhere, and playing football, and I had been fortunate enough to have a solid career at Syracuse, and really thought I'd positioned myself to take that next step to go to the NFL, and that's what I was focused on, candidly. Right, it was what team was going to draft me, what NFL city am I going to end up in, and then one Thursday afternoon in December, 5 days after the season ended, regular season ended, we'd finally made a bowl game. Hadn't been feeling well, see the doctor, and go get an MRI, and then find out that there's a large tumor in my brain, and everything that I had aspired for and dreamed of went away in a matter of minutes, and everything that I thought I wanted, thought I was headed towards, disappeared. Right, it was the NFL life, playing in the NFL. Everything along those lines went away, and then my focus just became, how do I make sure I get to the next day? And that's where you talk about things being humbling. You go from which NFL team am I going to sign to am I waking up in the morning? And so I think it's really shaped a lot of how I view my day-to-day life and what I choose to do with my life and my time. So it's been quite a battle, right? I from my initial diagnosis and prognosis of a type of brain cancer that has a 5-year survival rate of 15%. And the doctors, telling my parents that I likely wouldn't live another 36 months, and I just turned 22 years old. It was a tough thing to deal with. But I took things a day at a time. I've been surrounded by unbelievable people and family and friends. And I had amazing support from not only my teammates, but the entire Syracuse community, both on campus and off. And that's, really led me to get through all of those times. And so I try to give back as much as I can because of everything that the people of Syracuse and the university have provided me. I can never thank them enough. And, now I'm here, over 8.5 years from that initial diagnosis, and I'm thankful for every day, and it's been a blessing.
Speaking here with Rob Long, a punter alum at Syracuse, and obviously someone who has been a tremendous inspiration. You said 8.5 years from the diagnosis. Just, how have you lived your life? Did you feel like it had changed you? Do you feel that maybe you stopped and kind of what people say, stopped and smelled the roses? Did you kind of start to appreciate things more? Maybe a sunny day, maybe sitting down with a family member, or playing. For me, it would be playing checkers with my grandfather, or playing the war card game with my grandma, or sitting by the pool with my mom, or something like that. Maybe fishing with my dad. Did things start to maybe mean a little bit more? Was it a wake-up call for you, or did you feel like you had always lived your life appreciating every moment?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I thought I was pretty appreciative and had an understanding of how lucky I was when I was offered a scholarship to Syracuse, when I got to to start as a freshman, and got to play for 4 years and was healthy. Didn't have any issues. I never missed a game. All those things. I always thought I was grateful for all of those opportunities, and then you go through what I went through, and it just takes everything to another level. I guess it kind of amplifies really how lucky I was to do all that stuff, and how lucky I continue to be to the simple things that I appreciated. Being able to get up out of bed and dress myself in the morning. Right, that's not something that is a given for everybody that goes through what I've gone through. And so for me, that I can, lead a life, how I choose to lead it is nothing short of a blessing and a miracle for me, given where I was at, 8.5 years ago. So, for me, it magnified, I think, all those feelings of appreciation and gratitude that I had. And you appreciate the time that you have with family members and close friends, and the experiences that you get, and going exploring things, traveling the world, and going to different parts of the United States, and really getting outside of just the bubble where I grew up or I went to school. It's all those things that's become important to me, that I value the time that I have with my wife and my parents and my sister, and so it's something that I am really grateful for. Everything that I've had and continue to have, and I try to do my best to give back as much as I can.
And, for you, like you said, it's kind of, you thought you appreciated everything, and then it kind of, kicks it all into high gear and puts a lot of things into perspective. How do you view life now? When you're going to the Lift for Life, when you're working with uplifting athletes, when you're, going about your daily routine, just how has it affected your day-to-day, so to speak?
Just, it keeps the day-to-day in perspective. I think when, like anybody else, if you get overwhelmed with, your to-do list, or what you have to accomplish with work, or, anything in your personal life that you may be frustrated by, I think for me, I kind of am able to take a deep breath, sit back and say, all right, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that bad. I'm actually lucky that I'm able to be frustrated by this stuff, right? That means I'm able to work. I'm able to do something that I love, and that I'm able to have the relationships that I'm in, and the friendships that I have. So I think it's just a perspective thing of understanding that, some of the adversity that you face, or some of the troubles that you face, are really just a gift and a sign that you're able to experience those. And I think it's those moments, of difficulty that make the moments of, jubilation and joy and happiness all that much better. I truly cherish every moment I get to be with my wife, and I love spending time with her, and getting to see my parents, and it's stuff like that. I think is there's a daily level of appreciation that I have, that I think unless you've experienced something like I've experienced, that it's not always a given that you have that understanding.
And speaking here with Rob Long, Syracuse football alum, and like you said, to go through that experience and to have that understanding, that the things that happen in life, you say, hey, well, I'm happy that I'm here to have to deal with this, because I'm alive, because I have an opportunity to, make a positive change. I'm not laying in a hospital bed somewhere. So many people let things bother them, little things, trivial things in the grand scheme of things. I'm not going to lie, I've let the world get to me. I've let other people's opinions of me get to me at times, and you try to work through that. You let the past get to you. I tell people all the time that you can't live in the past, because if you think of the past like baggage, You can only take one personal item and one carry-out on a plane. If you carry your baggage from all relationships, Rob, you're going to go to the airport with 18 bags, and you're going to have to check all those bags, and that's going to cost you a lot of money, and it's going to cripple you. And then who's going to carry all those bags when you get them out of baggage claim and you're trying to pull them all out of the airport? That's so much weight on your shoulders. It's so much weight on you, and it weighs down the plane. You can't bring 18 bags onto the plane, because if you try to bring all those bags onto the plane, number one, it's not going to happen. Number two, if it did, it's way too expensive. And number three, it's going to weigh the plane down. The plane's not going to be able to fly, and that's kind of like your life. You're not going to be able to rise up and fly if you're pulling yourself down so much. Just what you can say going off of that, because baggage is something that I've had to realize in my own life and kind of see when other people are bringing theirs in. But I just feel like, that's something that, for me, flying a lot, it's an analogy that makes a whole lot of sense. Just what your take is on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great analogy and very appropriate. I mean, it is something that you kind of have to hit that reset button a little bit every day. Obviously, you want to take the lessons that you've learned and the mistakes that you made, so that you can better yourself from those experiences. But at the same time, it doesn't benefit you to hold grudges or to keep this pent up like anger or something over that something that's happened. It's really better just to try and move forward and take whatever opportunities you have and whatever time you have to just press forward and kind of put the blinders on a little bit and say, this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to be positive. How you approach any situation or how you feel, or how you choose to feel. It's a choice, right? You can choose to look at things in certain ways, and some people it's easier than others, and it's definitely not an easy thing to do to try and take a positive approach to things that would be otherwise regarded as negative or something like that. And so it's really just a mindset of positivity and trying to surround yourself and put yourself in a position where you're surrounded by good people and doing something you enjoy, and you're chasing the right things, right? You're not chasing money and fame, but happiness and seeking that type of things out. I think the other pieces of it come together when you do that.
It's funny that you say that, and it's funny how God works. That you talk about not chasing money, and I just saw a post kind of come across the desk here this morning about not chasing money, and one of my good friends talked to me about that in the past as well. And so I want to read the quote that was here, because literally I was reading it as you said it, because it kind of just popped up, and it says, as far as the world goes of chasing money or chasing your dreams, it says the secret to success is operating in your gift, not chasing money. Your gift is a magnet. It will attract the right people and opportunities to you, not money. And kind of going off of that is what one of my good friends, Dominick Rhodes, had said to me. Dominick played with Peyton Manning with the Colts, and they won a Super Bowl, back when Manning was with Indianapolis, and I was just having a tough time, and I was down in Florida, and I was on a traditional radio down there, and I looked at Dominick and I said, I'm frustrated. I do things the right way. I work my butt off. I'm honest with people. I don't lie like salespeople do. I work hard for the companies that sponsor the show or that would, and I was just at a crossroads. And he looked at me and he said, when are you going to stop worrying? And he said, I'm going to tell you something that somebody told me a long time ago, and I didn't believe it right away, but I got it. He said, if you chase the money, or he said, if you chase your dreams, the money will chase you. If you chase the money, you'll chase it forever. If it's all about the money, you'll always be running after it. But if it's about your dreams and your aspirations and what you truly want out of life, that money will chase you down and it'll catch up with you. And he said, I never forgot that. I've lived that my whole life. And here's a Super Bowl champion talking about that. So, kind of to go off of what you said, Rob, that people should chase their dreams, chase their calling, and not chase the materials of this world.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's kind of what I've been fortunate enough to do, is that, I kind of chase this passion of combining, what I experienced in my life with sports and what I've experienced in my life with going through my battle with brain cancer, and being able to be the executive director of an organization like Uplifting Athletes and have that be my job, where, my job is literally to use the platform that athletes have in this country, help them realize that platform, and then use that platform to benefit the rare disease community and to fund research, to make a movement around what we're doing to bring awareness to the 1 in 10 Americans that deal with a rare disease every single day. And that, it's 30 million Americans that we're talking about that deal with rare diseases. And, what I want to do is use the platform that we have as athletes and with athletics to help support that community. So you're exactly right? And that's something that I do now, and I love what I do, and I'm so lucky to do it. And that's, I don't think I could, live any other way than really doing something that I wake up and I'm excited about every day.
Speaking here with Rob Long, a former Syracuse punter, and obviously will always be a member of the Syracuse Brotherhood for the football team. Rob, before we get into this year's team in 2019 and whatnot, I want to speak on what you do with the Lift for Life and Syracuse's chapter of Uplifting Athletes and whatnot, raising more than $7,000 recently here. And for the people that don't know, just what it is and what it does and what that day-to-day is, because you just brought it up and obviously you've worked very tirelessly to make this something special, starting from getting donations of maybe $1,000 to getting what you get now, and just what you could say about what the events are that you do and just overall why it's important to be a part of Uplifting Athletes and the Lift for Life as well.
Yeah, so the mission of Uplifting Athletes is to inspire the rare disease community with hope through the power of sport. And as I briefly mentioned, we want to work to help athletes realize their potential and what their platform is to have an impact on those who need that help. And so we work with a network right now of about 25 Division I college football schools. All those chapters are run by current student athletes. So they're really just student organizations that are run by the football players. And there's 2 fundraising events every year. We have the Lift for Life in the summer and then Touchdown Pledge Drive during the fall. But the idea behind it is to really leverage the platform that we have as athletes and in athletics to support this community that is lacking the 2 things that college football has a lot of, and that's money and awareness. And so what we do is take the money raised and to help facilitate our programs at Uplifting Athletes to fund research, to develop the leaders at these schools so that they can continue to develop themselves both personally and professionally, as well as raising awareness and to engage the rare disease community with our chapters. So through our research specifically, we funded over $180,000 in the last 12 months through our Young Investigator Draft program, which is something we're really proud of. It's a new program that just launched in 2018. We've had 2 Young Investigator Drafts within the last 12 months, and like I said, been able to fund $180,000 directly to those researchers so that they are using that money at their sole discretion the best way that they figure possible to have the biggest impact and to move their research forward. So it's something that we're continuing to grow and continue to build upon. We're hoping to expand the number of chapters that we have and obviously the amount of research money that we give. So it's something that, it's been such a joy to work with. We work with unbelievable young men at these chapters, and really the future of uplifting athletes is really bright. I think we've only scratched the surface of what we can accomplish. Right now we're focused in college football because of my background and my colleague Brett being a Penn State alum, playing football there as well. So it's the area where we're most connected, but we'd love to branch out into other sports and just to really grow this into a big movement to support all of those affected by rare diseases.
And I mean, obviously, a tremendous thing in our community and in any community here in the world to have something like that where you can really reach out and feel like you have a home and feel safe and feel loved and appreciated. And I think the biggest thing, Rob, and you can speak to this, is not wanting to fight your battle alone. Nobody wants to be alone in a hospital bed having to fight something. And there's times where people feel that way, and there's I think we kind of take for granted that some people have a tremendous amount of support and some don't. Just what you can say to that, making sure that people aren't fighting battles by themselves and that they have support and that they have that love and that they know that they have that love.
Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest thing. And like I said in the beginning, when I came home from treatment every day, I had a mailbox full of letters and cards from people in the Syracuse community, and it was unbelievable. I mean, it was truly inspiring, and I think I was so lucky in that instance, for the amount of support that I got, because I know that was not the norm. And I understand even with that, it's still you still feel lonely at times. And so for those who don't have that level of support, where they're not having entire communities send the mailboxes full of letters every day, it's trying to reach out to those people and those families to let them know that people do care and people are fighting for them. I mean, I'm not sitting here today if there's people who I have never met and probably will never meet, but have taken time to their time, money, effort to raise money to fund research that ultimately led to a treatment for me that wasn't really meant to be a cure, but just something that helped to move the progress of my disease forward, and or the treatment for my disease forward, and it's something that's worked really well for me. And that's never lost on me that there is plenty of people that play a role in where I am now. And I talked about paying it forward, and that's what I'm trying to do, is that hopefully we can have an impact for people down the line, so that their experience is better than my experience, and so forth and so on. So that's really what I'm trying to accomplish, and trying to help put the organization in the best position possible to have that type of impact.
And to look at not only what's happened in your life, but what's happened just at Syracuse alone, with Sam Heckel and battling a rare blood disorder. He is now the starting center on the team. You went through a rare form of brain cancer, and then Rex Culpepper, who I consider a friend and somebody who I have gotten to know over the years, has dealt with testicular cancer. Syracuse's team in and of themselves has dealt with very, very difficult times, and you have had your battle, and Rex has had his, and Sam has had his as well. Just what you could say about that, and maybe getting to know Sam and getting to know Rex, and maybe leaning on each other if you've been able to have that as well.
I mean, you're right. Those guys you just talked about, they're all exceptional young men. Rex and Sam have been tremendous advocates for what we talk about, and I've been fortunate enough to get to know them, and I think being able to talk to them and kind of share my experience for me has been it's been rewarding, because I know that what I went through wasn't for nothing, right? I'm able to at least at some level provide a level of advice or experience to those guys, and they've done a tremendous job of sharing their stories and being vocal about what they've gone through. But it's really something that brought us closer together, and gotten to know Sam and Rex really well over the past couple of years. And so they're tremendous advocates, and they're a perfect representation of the people that we want to help. And they're in a similar situation to me, in that they had that opportunity and they have that platform that most patients don't have. And I'm so proud of the way that they've stepped up and shared that with that platform, because it's not an easy thing to do. And you talked about Sam's a starting center for Syracuse this year, and may or may not have been in his best interest of the career, a career in the NFL to talk about what he's been through, but he did, and he has. And I think it's something that he will, at the end of the day, find more rewarding than if he had tried to not talk about it. So, like I said, I'm just so proud of those guys and how they've represented, themselves and the university, for what they've been through.
Speaking here with Rob Long, Syracuse football alum, this morning on so many things bigger than football, uplifting athletes as well as the Lift for Life. Sam Heckel, Rex Culpepper, his own story. And we will get back to that and kind of come full circle in a minute here, Rob. But I do want to get to the 2019 team. Just what you could say about, what you've seen from this team. In recent history, we saw 3-9 followed by back-to-back-to-back seasons of 4-8 before the team went 10-3, won a bowl game. Eric Dungey didn't know if it would ever happen. Dante Strickland, guys like that just going through it, didn't know if they would ever be able to feel what it's like to get to a bowl game and get a victory. They do that at the Camping World Stadium for the Camping World Bowl down in Orlando, Florida. And, Dungey stays healthy to do it. Dungey, after it, was very emotional. I got to ask him the question that garnered that response, which, I just asked him about his 4 years and everything he's been through. And, he sat there and looked over at me in that press room and, got very teary-eyed and choked up of everything that it took to get there, and the fact that, he just wants to compete. He just wants somebody to give him a chance. So to see this team be led by that, and to be led by that type of a human being, and just what they've done, just what it means to you as a member of the Syracuse football alumni to see Syracuse have a season they had last year, which is something that, I know Dungey and you and so many players have been pushing for and desiring and wanting, and we finally saw it come through.
Yeah, it was awesome, and I think you talk about the success they had, and even with the success they had, I think they were so close to even being more successful, right? I think they did an unbelievable job, and what they've accomplished has been incredible. And Coach Babers really has things going in the right direction, and it really is really impressive what he's done with the team. And I'm personally very excited to see what the future holds. I don't believe that this is a flash in the pan type of thing. I think there's a culture that's been being built around Coach Babers and his system and his staff that these players have bought into, and I think he's done it in places where he's been in the past, and so now he'll have the opportunity to sustain this and continue to grow the program. And I don't think he could be in a better position that if Coach Babers and his staff want to win a national championship, I think that he's in a situation, he's at a university that is supporting him, he's in a conference that can make that happen, and the path to get there, I think, is one that is doable, right? So I don't think there's a better situation and a better time for Syracuse football right now than where they're at. I think they've positioned themselves, and what John Wildhack has done, and to solidify Coach Babers and give him full confidence in what he's doing to build the program, it's really exciting. I think all the pieces are falling into place. You have Tommy DeVito coming off of some time last year, and we saw flashes of really really exciting stuff and some extreme talent and a very live arm. And I think getting him in there, making sure that he's the guy, he knows he's the guy now. I think there's a lot to be excited about, and I know I, like most people, have great expectations for them, but I don't think it's anything that they don't expect out of themselves.
No, and I think that that's awesome and a great statement to make. And you were a semifinalist for the Ray Guy Award. We have a punter now with Sterling Hoffrichter who has been tremendous. From one punter to another one. I mean, from you and Riley Dixon, and I mean, there's been so much recently here on Syracuse's team. They've been pretty amazing. Riley to you to what Sterling's doing right now. I think it's easy to say that he could very much be up for the Ray Guy Award as well. Just what you think about passing the torch, so to speak, and what Syracuse has in their punter right now. Because I want to shout out Sterling, and I want to shout out special teams because it doesn't get talked about enough. So what do you think about Sterling Hoffrichter and where Syracuse's punting is right now, as you were obviously a member of that rich history?
Yeah, I mean, Sterling's a stud, and I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he's capable of winning the Ray Guy Award. And really, if you talk about the special teams unit as a whole, what Sterling does with kickoffs and punting, and Andre's done with field goals, I know Andre was a huge question mark going into last year, and I mean, boy, did he step up. And what he's done, for the field goal unit. I mean, having that that whatever the situation is you can get 3 points. That I think that provides a lot of confidence in your offense and your coaching staff. So what they've all done has been great. I think it's the best special teams unit in the country, and I don't know that there's a lot of discussion around it. Sterling, who I think could have and should be a Ray Guy finalist, and somebody that can win that, and Andre winning the Groza. They're studs, and they're both great guys on top of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do this year. Watching Andre come back and follow up his performance, and to Sterling building on a great career that he's had. And continuing a tradition of guys that have punted there. Before me, Brendan Carney was great, and Riley after me being what he's become, and being a stud in the NFL. So I think as far as special teams are concerned, they're an elite level of special teams, and that's going to be, I think, a difference maker in more than a couple games this year. That will push them over the edge.
And can we speak to the fact, Rob, that special teams, even though it's talked about the least, we hear about the quarterback and the skill players and who's sacking the quarterback and getting after that and this, that, and whatnot, but special teams is a huge component of this, and you as a punter know this all too well. You decide where the other team is going to start off. That special teams unit has such a big component, from punt returns to punts themselves to kickoff returns and field goals and extra points and whatnot. You decide so many pieces of the game. One of the biggest pieces is, where does the other team start on the field, and where do you start on the field? How short is your field on offense? How long is theirs on defense? So can we give some more respect to the fact that the special teams units around the world have a direct connection to how successful or where an offense or a defense is going to end up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge piece of it. It's 1/3 of the game, and I think it's a big piece of that. I mean, if you're putting your defense in a position that that team's pinned deep, and they have to go 80, 85, 90 yards on a drive, I mean, your chances of success are going to skyrocket. And I think that's what Sterling can do, both from the kickoff spot and punting. And you talk about the development of the guys on the D-line, like letting those guys pin their ears back. Syracuse has got some studs on the D-line, and so those are guys that you're going to let them go and play ball. And now you're developing a secondary. You have Andre Cisco, who's a freshman All-American last year, and you're going to be forcing teams to convert long yardage downs. The ultimate level of success that you're going to have is going to go way up. And so I think it is a often overlooked and underestimated piece of the game and how big of a role that they can have. If your special teams aren't as good, right, it's going to be a lot more difficult for your defense and for your offense to either score points or to stop the other team's offense. So, it's going to be a big piece. I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think what Coach Lustig has done with those guys has been incredible, and I think he's a great coach. And how he's shaped the special teams there and allowed those guys to really flourish. So it's a big piece of the game. It often goes overlooked. But when you have a great punter and a great kicker and good operations, you're in a much better shape than you otherwise would be.
And it's funny, Rob, the fact that you just said this could be the best special teams unit in the country, and Cole Murphy, who was on this show as well this week, said the same thing. He said this could be the best special teams unit in the country. Former kicker on the team, you're a former punter on the team. And you both brought up Justin Lustig, the special teams coordinator. Just what you can say about maybe what the difference is, maybe what his message is, because Coach Lustig has gotten a lot of respect on my show here, and especially from the alumni like yourself. Just what you can say about him and why is he so special? What is it about Coach Lustig that you just have such a positive feeling and gives him such a positive rapport with the not only the alum but with the current players as well?
Oh, I think from the moment I met him, I think he was a great guy. I think that's a big part of it, is that he has that personality. He is the type of person that I would want to play for in a heartbeat. I think he cares about the kids. He cares about their on-field and off-field success. He's extremely knowledgeable about the game. He asks questions. He learns more. Doesn't assume that he knows everything type of deal. Like he's always learning, and I think the players see that, right? And they see how knowledgeable he is and how good he is at what what he does in coaching. And he was promoted to an assistant head coach. He's somebody that I think is an underrated piece of the entire staff, that what he brings to the table in providing Andre and Sterling and putting those guys in their best position to succeed both in practice and in games, making sure that they're in the right mindset for what they need to do to perform. And it's an underrated part of the whole equation, is that if you have somebody on the sidelines who really believes in you and wants you to succeed and puts you in every position to be successful, it goes a long way to your on-field success. And I think what Sterling and Andre have accomplished is a direct reflection of that. I think those guys have worked extremely hard. They're obviously extremely talented. But there's a lot of guys that work hard and that are talented and don't end up being successful. And I think that what they've accomplished personally, on the field has been aided by Coach Lustig and what he's done.
Yeah, and obviously, what this team has been able to do in our recent history shows what they've been building over time and what these coaches and these players have been doing. Under those lights where nobody sees, and in those practices that nobody can view, and in that film room that's got the door locked and the guys are sitting in there paying attention to it. So, Rob, kind of in closing here for you, what are the biggest positive and the biggest question mark of this year's team this season? What would you say is the biggest positive on the team, and what's the biggest question mark to circle?
So I think the biggest positive is the stability that they've had with within the program, right? I mean, Coach Babers has established his culture, his staff. The players are there. I think, at all the important positions, I mean, almost throughout the roster, you have guys that have game experience, and you have guys that are walking in, the team's becoming more mature. It's not all freshmen that are playing now. These guys have game experience. And I think that's something that should be really exciting to the fans, is that these guys are really starting to get an understanding of ACC football and how they need to prepare and perform on game days.
So for this team this season, I'm going to read you the schedule, and every all of the alumni that I've had on have given me their thoughts here. Syracuse is at Liberty to start off the season, then at Maryland, Clemson, Western Michigan, Holy Cross at home, then at NC State, home against Pittsburgh, at Florida State, home against Boston College, and stepping forward from there, they're at Duke, at Louisville, and then home against Wake Forest. They only have back-to-back road games in November and to start off the season. What are your thoughts on this year's team record-wise and how they could finish?
Well, I think you look at the schedule. Any fan, media member is probably guilty of. You go through and you put a W or an L next to each one, and when you go through that, for what you've seen, on the field last year, I mean, it's really hard to come up with many L's for that team, and what they can do. I think if they play their game, they buy into Coach Babers' system again, that they believe in themselves, they play with a chip on their shoulder. I don't see if any opportunities that that they can't take advantage of. I mean, it's a schedule and a situation where you're in a Power 5 conference, and you have some teams that aren't playing at the level that they've played at in the past. With regards to Florida State, struggled last year, and they've been a perennial power. Louisville has had a down year last year, and they've been an elite program. And obviously Clemson is what Clemson is, and I don't think anybody disputes their talent and their ability. But when you go through that schedule, I think there's winnable games at every week for Syracuse, and it comes down to believing in themselves and doing what Coach Babers asked them to do and buying into the system. And if they do that week in and week out, I mean, I think you're looking at a lot of excitement towards the end of the year in Central New York, and I think you're going to be garnering a lot of media attention, a lot of national attention. I mean, I know it's been at least probably a decade since they started in the preseason top 25, if not longer. Probably 91, maybe 2001. But it's been a while, and so there's a ton of excitement around what this team can accomplish. And I think if they continue to buy into what they're doing and don't believe kind of their own hype a little bit, I think the sky's the limit. If they go out and play, they're going to be a good football team and tough to beat.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And you brought it up. Last time Syracuse is ranked in the AP's top 25 in the preseason was 1998. So it's been a very long time. And Syracuse has been, defeating things kind of all the way through. Not being in the top 25 in both the AP and the coaches poll in the same season had been 17 years since they had done that. First time starting 4-0 that didn't happen until it was back in 1991 that it happened, and then it happened again. So that was 27 years for Syracuse. The last time they did that was Marvin Graves, and now to see them in the AP top 25, the coaches poll top 25 in the preseason. And the majority of the ACC media kind of surprised me. I picked Syracuse to finish behind Clemson in the Atlantic Division, and so did the overwhelming majority of the ACC media. Going off of what you said as we get ready to come to an end with our conversation with Rob Long, which we always appreciate having him on the show, what's your words of advice for this team? Because they have gone in and gone 3-9, 4-8 3 years in a row. The ACC media majority of the time picking them to finish 7th out of 7, 6 out of 7. No chance in the AP, no chance in the coaches poll, no respect nationally. A lot of people laughing the team off. And yet here we are with a team that has all these accolades, has a bunch of players up for awards already, a lot of preseason respect. What are your words of advice to the team that now that there is hype, now that there is respect, now that there is a lot of eyes watching them, what would you say to the team about how to handle the fact that they step into this season totally different than they've stepped into many others as far as how the outside is looking at them?
Well, I think there's two things. I think the main thing is you got to put the blinders on and play football. The other thing is, the other way to look at it is that they know what it's like to be picked to finish last, to be given no respect, to go into every game knowing that you're the underdog. And now that's not going to be the case every week. But what they do know is what that's like. And so they know what that other team is thinking that's lining up across for them. So if they don't want to end up like what they did to every team last year, then they need to know that those teams are going to be coming in. Now they got a little bit of a target on their back, right? People are going to say, oh, these guys think that they're the second best team or the best team in the ACC. Well, no, they're not. Like, we'll prove that wrong. So now you're going to get everybody's best shot. While everybody may have been overlooking you or writing you off when other teams were going through their schedule, they put a W next to Syracuse. Well, now that's not the case anymore. So it's really going to be people gunning for you. So that's where you got to put the blinders on and play ball.
That coming from Rob Long, Syracuse Orange football alum. Rob, just a final piece for you to bring everything full circle. Just what you can say to people that are dealing with adversity right now. I mean, you had a rare form of brain cancer. I can only imagine the things that went through your mind as to, and maybe, before I ask that final question, what did go through your mind? I mean, did you sit there and think, I'm going to, because it's brain cancer and, this is where your thoughts come from. This is where, that brain tells the body to do everything. So were you thinking I'm going to lose my ability to speak, to remember, I'm going to lose memories, I'm going to forget how to eat? I mean, did you have any sleepless nights of, that kind of the fear of what was going to come from that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. There was plenty of nights in the beginning where I just didn't know if I was going to wake up the next morning, based on what I was going through and what, had been told to me. And so, I thought that I was going to die. I never, really, could wrap my head around the whole thing. And it was terrifying. It was something that, I didn't know what to expect. And, the hardest thing was that nobody could tell me that, everything was going to be all right. And that's the only thing I was looking for was, for a doctor or somebody to just say, like, hey, like, we got this. And, nobody could do that. And, that was a tough thing to deal with. So, what I say and I try to tell people in that situation is you got to take things a day at a time. There's two ways to go. You can, be positive and try and get better and be a better person, on a daily basis. And that's how you can live your life and every day that you have, or you can, choose to be miserable and to, go the other way. And, I made the decision in the beginning that I was going to, talk about my story, as difficult as it was, and share that and just continue to move forward as best I could and get better and put myself in a position to get better for my family. And, if things worked out, then that's great. And if not, then I did everything that I could, and I tried and put myself in that position to be successful. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we don't control everything, but we got to do our best to do what we can to control it. So, just taking things day at a time and just trying to get better, even if it's a little bit every day.
You are a walking miracle. Does that sit with you? Does that, kind of hit you at certain times? I mean, you're a husband, you're a son, you're a friend. You are a part of uplifting athletes. You're an inspiration to so many people. You're also a miracle in the grand scheme of things. Does that ever hit you?
Sometimes I feel lucky for what I've been through. I don't ever feel particularly special or gifted or anything like that. But I just feel lucky that I'm able to be me and just try and bring happiness and comfort to those around me. And I know I've been lucky. I'm very aware of that, and it's why I have chosen to try and take advantage of what has been gifted to me and to make the most of it. I try to give back and to be a good person as much as I can every day, and that's really what drives me and keeps me going, is that I've been given a special, unique opportunity, and as best I can to give that back and to share my story so that others can see that there is a light on the other side of all of this.
And in the final note, Rob, here as we have our Syracuse Orange football alum Rob Long here with us, just what your advice, whether it's cancer, whether it's any type of rare disease, or it's the loss of an arm, or the loss of a leg, maybe the loss of eyesight, or the loss of a loved one, or somebody going through heartache in a relationship, or bullying in school, they can all be grouped together in dealing with adversity. What are kind of your key ingredients? Every Tuesday we do a segment called The Ingredients to Success, brought to you by Utica Pizza Company, and it's a Utica thing, and we really try to dive in deep to how we can help people out there. What are your ingredients to success?
I think hard work and dedication and passion to what you're doing. I think if things aren't easy, and I think that's the biggest thing to take away, is that there's a lot of hard work that goes into success and even times happiness, right? It's nobody's going to hand you anything. It's, you have to take things upon yourself if you want if you want to see success or to be happy. You have to take responsibility for that. And I think that's an important thing. If you take ownership and responsibility of your life and your emotions, then it's a powerful thing, right? That puts you in the driver's seat, and you can control to a certain extent of how you want things, how you allow things to affect you. And there's going to be bad days, there's going to be sad times, but things get better, and there's so much positivity and goodness and love in this world. I think it gets drowned out at times, but there really is. There's a lot of good people in this world, and I've been fortunate to come across many of them. And it's just having a life to live is a gift. It's a blessing. Don't take it for granted, and just make the most of it. And you talk about chasing that passion, and everything else falls into place. I really do believe that. You got to be doing things for the right reason, and allow put yourself in the right place with the right people around you, and good things will happen.
That coming from Rob Long. As always, Rob, we appreciate everything that you bring, not only to the show today, but to life in general. You've spent ample time with us today, speaking on a lot of different things. And as this season goes on, I'd love to have you back on the show. And more than anything else, I think with uplifting athletes and some other things out there that, you and I should talk and try and see, how I can help and what else we can do, because you have been a tremendous inspiration and just an overall amazing person. So I'd love to say that I have the perfect words to say thank you. And speaking for a living, I would like to think I know them, but I really don't have the words for you. It just it means a lot to me what you do for other people, for the community, and just kind of the drive that you have. And and the way that you approach things so humbly and so real. And I really, I don't have the perfect words for you. I honestly do want to say thank you for being the person that you are. And I'm really, really happy that you're surrounded by love. And I'm so grateful to God that, we've had you through all of this, and that you can live to talk about the rare disease and hopefully never experience it again, and help other people get through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Congratulations on all your success. And, anytime you guys want to have me on, I'm more than happy to talk.
All right, man. Well, be good, and I'll talk with you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. Have a good one.